What's up, team? It's T from Third Phase here. Thanks for tuning in. And we're lucky enough to have skills and attack coach, co-founder of the RugbyBricks, and former Otago Northland representative, Peter Breen, with us on the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Stoked to have you on, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys. I've been impressed by what you guys are up to and doing, and listened to a few pods, and obviously had Lima on my one recently, and that went down a real treat with a lot of teens as well, and teens and coaches. So good to chat.
He gave you more chat than he gives us, mate. I was pretty jealous of you. How's everything anyway, bro? So you're over in Melbourne, is that right?
Yeah, so Melbourne at the moment's been good. Like, we moved over here just under 2 years ago, and it's awesome, mate. Just so much sport going on, so many things to go watch and go see. So if you're a sports fan, it's a great place to be. And then at the moment, obviously with everything going on, we're not in a full lockdown, but still able to get out of the house and go train and do a few things. Still a lot of people doing a lot, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Really?
But
Aussies, man. What's the case numbers and stuff like in Australia at the moment?
I think it's just over 5,000, which is quite a few. But the politicians over here at the moment are just trying to sort of help as many people stay working as possible. But yeah, I don't really get too much into politics, man. But it seems like we should all just go hard for 2 weeks and do nothing rather than try to do it half-assed.
Hard, man. And has it had much effect on the business at all, or not too much?
It's been all right, actually. Like, we put a lot of energy into, like, at the start of the year, getting a lot of our stuff online, passing programs, kicking programs, and then also teamed up with a company called Huddle, which I'm sure Lima, maybe you guys have used, to do a lot of our reviews for players with their goal kicking or passing. So we're kind of already going that way. And then when all this stuff hit, obviously everyone's sort of wanting stuff to do and programs to do. So we've actually had a lot of interest and questions around that. So
I suppose people got so much downtime now, eh?
Yeah. So we've kind of been able to make good of a pretty shitty situation. And people that are keen to do stuff are definitely doing stuff at home and whatnot.
I mean, bro, And in terms of, I suppose, RugbyBricks has been a massive thing for you, which we'll be really keen to talk about in a little bit. But it'd be awesome for, I suppose, some of the UK audience and stuff to learn more about Peter Breen prior to RugbyBricks and what you're up to, mate. So look, take us back, bro, down memory lane. Where did all things start, like in terms of sport and that? I know, reading a few articles and things, you're pretty involved in sport and listening to a few of your podcasts, etc.
Yeah, so my first main sporting stuff was all basketball and cricket, to be honest. Like, that's sort of the road that I went down straight away.
Yeah.
Ball is life, man.
Yeah. So basketball was my thing. I was I was pretty lucky. I got through to like NZ teams, 14s and 16s and then 18s. Guys like Corey Webster and Abercrombie and that were sort of floating around. And
do you remember guy Jordan Mills?
Jordan Mills. Nah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, mate. That's a good thing.
I remember a lot of guys, but not that name, sorry.
Good.
You don't want to remember that name.
And we were pretty lucky, like, as I was going through, the Tall Blacks were kind of doing their thing, like Pero Cameron in that era was really like killing it. Dylan Boucher, the old white battler. So a lot of guys to kind of be inspired by. And then, so that was kind of where I started. And I guess right there and then, like, we had an amazing coach who just like put so much time and energy into us, like 6 a.m. sessions, just like his passion sort of came through us. So I guess that's definitely where I've got a lot of philosophy of my coaching. Brian De Geese was his name. Like, he took a tiny little South Island white country town to nationals and got 5th, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's hectic.
And that's all just down to coaching.
What town was that, Breen?
There was Oamaru, so just up the road from Dunedin. I'm sure you probably played a few Highlanders pre-seasons there against the Crusaders.
Yeah, bro.
They have the odd game there that the whole town comes and watches. So yeah, that was the basketball, and then cricket, the same thing. Just went hard with that, and got through to sort of some national teams with that stuff, which was pretty cool. And it's been awesome to see the guys kind of who were in those teams all kick on and play for New Zealand and whatnot.
Awesome.
And then the rugby stuff sort of started in my last year of high school, and then just started getting into it with the guys. All my mates were playing mainly rugby, so got dragged along and chucked in the midfield, and kind of didn't really know what I was doing, but did that, played all right.
What high school was that, bro?
Waitaki Boys. So not like a big rugby school, but rugby was kind of the main sport. And then went down to Otago in the academy and kind of kicked off from there.
Yeah, nice. And like going through the grades, what was the decision to kind of pursue rugby? What was the attraction there? Because obviously making a lot of rep teams for both cricket and basketball.
Yeah. I actually, I think about that a lot. Like, why didn't I kick on? I suppose all the noise and energy in New Zealand is all about rugby, like career-wise. And so I'd kind of gone that hard with those sports. Maybe I was kind of resenting them a little bit. I'm not too sure, or didn't really see much of a future there. So mates were going down to Otago and stuff, so just went down there and jumped into the academy and had a real good hot crack at rugby, which was awesome. It was a pretty cool environment to be in.
And how did you land at Alhambra, bro? So was that part of the academy signing, or was it just love at first sight, man?
Nah, I actually had a short little stint up at Zingaree, Lima's club.
Oh, good old Zingers. Battlers, man. Battlers.
Yeah. I actually remember a pretty crack-up game when it was Alhambra versus Zingers, and you and Nuggy came and played.
Yeah, bro. Actually, I remember that game too.
You guys were running around like bloody idiots. And and Zingers sucked at the time, and then you guys came on and was like, hang on, we're not going to get beaten by these guys, are we?
Yeah.
I think we just got them. Yeah, luckily though. I think both Lima and Nuggy got pulled off, obviously limited minutes or whatever, and then we just got away with it.
Did you have Kurt Baker and Liam Coleman playing as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, I think Kurt. I remember playing that day. I remember punching Coleman in the middle of a ruck, and then kind of like running off and just having a laugh. I remember that.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was a good, fun game.
I actually remember getting on the hammer a few times at your guys' house.
Oh,
I'm not sure if you're around though, but I remember Binti always saying like, "Oh, just come back to my house. The worst thing that'll happen, you'll have a good time." That's it. I was like, "Oh, sweet."
How good, man. Yeah, like looking back, like Dunedin Club Rugby was actually good times, man. Like it's pretty special, and you meet a lot of boys, and it's just a real good environment and club rooms and stuff. So I hope they're still doing it well.
Playing club rugby and then you're in the academy. What was your first experience within the professional rugby ranks being part of the academy? Probably there's a lot more professional player or out and out professional players playing ITM at that time.
Yeah, definitely. Like mine was slow. Like I was probably the definition of a battler coming through. Like didn't really get a crack. There was a lot of good like tens and stuff in front of me, and I was still trying to like get my IQ of how to play and get that up and good experiences. So, like I didn't really get a run even for Otago till like 20, just turning 23. And then that was sort of sitting behind Hayden Parker for like 2 years. So I was pretty slow out of the gates with it all. You always get like games for Highlanders development or get chucked into those sort of teams when you're in the academy. So I really enjoyed sort of those 3 games that come about every year, like playing with a couple of the Highlanders boys and then all the academy guys and getting well coached. So that was probably the first taste of really good rugby.
Yeah. And what's it like going from that really good rugby space then back to club rugby where it's like really grassroots? Like was it a tough transition or did you relish it, you know?
Yeah, like definitely relished it, and I really enjoyed like leading AU, and I guess that's where you can really grow your IQ with rugby because what you do has a massive impact on the game. And that was one thing Brownie, Tony Brown was big on, was like, don't go back to club and fall back into your shit club habits, like being slow not being clean and crisp. So that was probably one thing you'd always pick up on my game is like, don't drop back down to that shitty club habits just within your own physical performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely where I got a lot of growth, was playing for AU, playing 10 and learning the game that way.
Yeah, for sure. And then like in the academy and that, are you studying full time as well, or are you just full out rugby? What's the story?
Yeah, so I just was working for a while. So I started packing shelves at New World was my first year, which was good times. And then went out to the freezing works for a bit, did labouring. And then sort of when I was 20, I think went to PT school, so personal training at Polytech, and did that, which was really good. But I wasn't really that focused. I was a pretty shit student, to be honest.
Like us all, mate.
Yeah, I was just really there so that I had time to go goal kicking and work on the rugby side of things, to be honest.
Yeah. And where did your drive for, like, because you talk about it a lot and we'll probably touch on it in a little bit, but your drive in terms of nailing your skills, nailing your role, like kind of getting reps in, etc., where does that come from, bro?
Yeah, so definitely, like, and that's probably why I mentioned with that basketball thing, like going back to when I was going through school, like we had a coach who literally, I think it was 4 days a week, would be there 6 a.m. on the court, and he'd have a basketball for each of us, and we'd just be spread out on the court, kind of look like an American sort of style football sort of setup, and you're literally just there, just same dribbling drills, all timed, and you're just working on that 4 days a week for like half an hour. And I suppose it's kind of where I've learned the value of detail, or like, and I guess that was always me. Like I was always probably an overthinker with when I was playing and training. Like nothing came real easy. So I guess just putting in the time that way and getting the confidence from knowing you'd done the work was, I guess, what I learned from that whole thing.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
And like in terms of the academy time, you said, because were you in the academy for a few years before you got your first shot at ITM Cup level, is that right?
Yeah, for like 3, almost 4 years, I reckon. So did all 3, and they usually push you on after 3. But
I was just about to say that,
yeah. But for some reason, I just hung around, and that was the thing. Heaps of my mates, like, and you guys will know as well. Like, there's been a lot of boys in the academy that kind of get to their 3rd year, and they're like, well, it wasn't for me. Didn't get my crack. Especially in New Zealand rugby, the list is long, and you're sitting behind sort of, 7, 8, 9 guys sometimes.
And there's always the next 18-year-old coming out, or the next hot property, and he's kind of New Zealand rugby's next big thing, eh?
Yeah, 100%. And they're always keen for that young buck, and because they know they're going to get a few years. But I don't know. Luckily, just stuck it in for that probably another 4 months, and Brownie turned up and hit it off with him, and got a crack. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know in a lot of content you talk about Brownie. What was, I suppose, your key takeaways from him, and what was the real turning point to enable you to elevate your game, and get to that next level?
Yeah, so I suppose like he turned up, and obviously being an old Otago boy himself, it was when Otago was in a lot of trouble with money and almost went bankrupt. And he's just like, right, well, I'm not going to be able to get any players or buy any players to come in, so whoever I've got here is going to have to do the job.
Yeah.
And so that's where he came in and just put so much energy into all of us, just with skill development, making us better, and just put in like way more than what was expected from a Mitre 10 Cup coach. And then we kind of just went hard for 4 months, and then we had a pretty good season, like finished better than what we probably should have, considering. But I just picked up so much from him throughout kind of the 3 years that he was there, just around IQ, how to play, backing yourself, all the same stuff I'm sure, Lima, you got throughout your career from him as well. Like, you always felt like he had your back when you're on the field, and just make a decision and back it.
Yeah,
that was the epic thing about Brownie, Pete. Like, it wasn't always just the rugby and the training. It was also like, like the off-field stuff as well, like how he made everyone feel so at ease. You'd have fun, have a laugh. Like, all those things matter when it comes to rugby and actually trying to better yourself, don't you reckon?
Yeah, and I reckon the cool thing was he was so close to, as being a player himself, he kind of knew what you were dealing with and what the pressures were. And I think one thing that sometimes coaches lose touch of is actually sometimes you're going to get done on the field. And just being
a couple of times.
Yeah, especially the way the New Zealand rugby goes. Like, I know for myself, like going up against some of the athletes, you play a team like Wellington and you've got, the Xavier boys running around and that, like, you're often going to lose the odd battle.
What was your biggest, like, oh shit, I'm playing ITM Cup moment now?
I was kind of probably just my first game. Like, I think we often played Canterbury pretty early on, and that was big. Like, Canterbury just are always class. And then the first game against them was probably our first game. Came on, replaced Hayden, and came on for like 18 minutes. And just remember thinking, like, man, this is quick. This is every ruck counts.
Yeah.
Like, the quickest thing you learn is just you have to be in the moment, and just like every decision you make counts. And when they say shit happens faster, like, it's so true. Yeah.
Did you have a jug skull after your debut, or was it just the old, just a bottle?
I don't think it was a jug. Yeah, it would have just been a bottle in the change rooms. Yeah, 100%. But a Spates, it was good.
I was just going to quickly say, just when you were talking about Tony Brown does a lot with very little, do you kind of see that his DNA scattered across that Japanese team? Probably looking at the World Cup that was there, probably on paper, everyone didn't even know who they were, what seemed like a team of nobodies.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I guess that's the awesome thing about the Tony Brown and Jamie Joseph 1-2 punch. Like, Brownie knows like what he wants out of every position. Like, he's got a real detailed script of what that position looks like. So I think that creates a real competitive culture, like, especially with like his halfbacks and nines in Japan, with like, okay, if you're the nine that's playing for us, then you got to bring speed, world-class pass, move the ball faster than the other team. So if you're not doing it, then he'll get someone else to do it. But definitely the way they played, I think they played that game against South Africa where they just keep trying to switch back and it was working. But that's sort of smart stuff that Brownie just, I think the cool thing about him is he makes a plan for a team, and you know that it's probably going to work if you execute it really well. And it's always a real clear plan. Like, this is why we're doing it. Here's the opportunity. If you do it well, then it'll work. So yeah, man, like, I put a lot of Japan's success down to his game plan on attack.
Do you think 10s make better coaches than any other position?
I think they've got a really good understanding of driving a game plan, and probably your IQ has to be quite high because you won't survive if you don't. And I don't know, Limo, if you've played for a coach that hasn't had that experience of like being a back leader or a game driver, but they just don't fucking get it. Like, you're trying to lead a team is just like, their advice is play better rather than, I think you should get. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Pete, with that. With your point, it just makes me laugh. But yeah, you're bang on, mate. You're bang on.
And after toiling away, bro, it must have been pretty good to chuck on the Otago jersey, being a Otago boy as well.
Yeah, it was good when Hayden pissed off, to be honest. It was good, man. Like, it was, I probably had that one real good year there, like after Hayden left, where I was able to kind of play 10 a lot, and that was probably my favourite year looking back. And then also moving up for the Tunnies, but definitely playing for Otago, man. It's when you get the students going down there, and I was lucky enough to be in the team during when we won the Shield for the first time. And it was only 9 days, but it was a great 9 days.
How many of those 9 days were you guys on it?
Yeah, I think we had 3, and then the decision was like, shit, should we do 4? And then like, we had a few guys like Joe Ladder and Charlie O'Connell on the team, and they said, yeah, we should do 4. But it was probably just 1 day too many, I reckon. And it came through against Hawke's Bay when we lost it.
You say only 9 days though, but like some of the best players to have played the game never have even got a challenge. Like,
yeah.
I think Brownie never even had a challenge. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many good players who come through and like don't even get to that game, and you know, like it's the luck of the draw sometimes. And man, I remember only like drawing our challenge against Hawke's Bay, and I was freaking gutted. But to
Is
win
that
it,
when you're
man,
playing for Southland?
yeah, it was 20-all, heartbroken. But like, you know, for you, Pete, to win it, man, that must have been unbelievable.
Well, there's the thing. Like, we were sitting in the room with like, because all the old boys came down, so we had like Brownie, Case Muse, Josh Kronfeld, all these old Otago legends, and they're like, mate, like we never touched this thing, like, and they're guys that went through. Jeff Wilson, like, never got their hands on it. 56 years, and then us battlers went up to Waikato and took it, and had an awesome 4 days on Spates at the Lone Star.
Oh, what a place!
And then what took you up to the Taniwhas, bro? Moving up to Northland, so like in Otago being a like more probably predominantly white and kind of battler city, then moving up to Northland, which is different demographic, different lifestyle.
Yeah, man, like it was, looking back now, like it was the best thing. Like I absolutely loved getting up there and getting amongst like the culture. And I'm not just saying that just because it's the right thing to say. But yeah, like I guess I've always kind of got on really well with people. Like my wife's half Cook Island and she loves her culture, and so we're always doing stuff with that. And so I guess getting up to the Tunnies and Northland, like, and the thing is, like, Northland was one thing, but when you play club rugby in Northland, that's when you get exposed to all sorts. And when you're the new signing, the white 10 coming to play for Northland,
and the great white hope,
having kicks from sidelines and stuff like that with pit bulls on the sideline, it's interesting. But
funny.
It was good, man. All the boys sort of got around you, and it was good times. Yeah, played there for 2 years, and then I got a crack with the Blues for like 6 weeks. Went down there for the end of their season, and really enjoyed getting amongst those boys. So different to sort of the Landers set up from when I was kind of just pulled in and out of that, which was pretty different to get into that environment.
Yeah. Did you end up getting any Super Rugby caps?
Nah, so I was named, and Pierce Francis, I was bracketed with Pierce Francis, and then he was he's gone on well now with England. Holy shit,
bro, yeah.
And but he played with a broken thumb, and I was like, mate, he couldn't have just given me one little
cheeky cap. 5 years at ITM Cup level. How was that not being able to, I suppose, make that step to Super Rugby, always kind of knocking on the door? Like, how did you maintain your motivation?
Yeah, like it was tough at the time because like that was the goal, and I think when you play rugby, your whole life gets consumed by it, and like I think you should, like if you've got a goal, then go after it 100%. And so I was doing that, and then probably the first year Tunnies didn't happen, and then second year after playing for Northland didn't get the Blues crack. They went with young Bryn Gatlin, again another young guy you kind of pick over an older guy. I was pretty gutted, but I suppose it was pretty quick. Like got over here to Melbourne straight away, and then you kind of realise, all right, cool. So rugby's like massive, it should be, but it's not kind of the be all end all, and it's not going to sort of define you.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing I always look back on, and I guess the training that I did and the effort I put in was what I'm real proud of and can kind of stand by. Like, and it's definitely helped with coaching. Like, if there's a lot of guys who probably just got given their first Super Rugby jersey just through raw talent, and then you sort of see them like 2 or 3 years later just wobble a little bit and haven't really got that real determination and strength to stay in the fight and fix things and go through those hard patches. So it's been really good, and I think a lot of the best coaches kind of had to battle their way and fight pretty hard for their positions, because you learn a lot that way.
I think, like from my experience with rugby coaches, the guys have had the most kind of trials and tribulations. They always have so much more relatability and understanding of kind of, I suppose, where you're at mentally throughout a game, or when you're up and down at training or whatever, and always able to kind of, without dictating and pushing in one direction, they're able to kind of relate and communicate with you to lead you to that goal, if that makes sense, using kind of detail and structure, etc. But like, always just find more common bonds with like players who've kind of not necessarily out and out superstars, but who have, like you say, stayed in the fight, been on the cusp of teams, etc. But being able to kind of then take all that knowledge from those hard times and then pass it on to other players and give that perspective.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess the problem solving is the big one. Like actually having to solve the problem and think about it. And then once you've kind of been through that, you can explain it a lot better, I reckon. A lot of the guys that it all kind of just happens for them and it all just comes easy, they can't really explain that to other people or players.
Yeah.
What's your thinking when you kind of had decided that it's kind of time to move on? Kind of, as you said, you're consumed by rugby, you eat, live and sleep rugby, and then you get to this point where maybe you're thinking of starting RugbyBricks, or we'll move to Melbourne. What was your thought process on there to kind of, I guess you have to almost think outside of yourself, don't you, to know what to do next?
Yeah, like it was a pretty easy decision because it hadn't happened, and I was that disappointed. And then coming over to Melbourne, just getting into personal training. But yeah, like I think all players go through that a little bit. Like they kind of realize after when they decide, right, I'm going to hang up the boots. They realize that, wow, like there's a whole nother life that I can now get after and go for. I don't think people sort of sit around mulling or feeling sorry for themselves too often. You just got to be grateful for that stage of your life and then get on with the next project.
If you would have started RugbyBricks if you hadn't, say you got that contract instead of Bryn, do you still think you would have started RugbyBricks?
No, man, definitely not. Like, and that's the crazy thing. Like, and the other thing was when I was going hard with Otago and trying to make landers, like didn't make it. Sweet, did a house renovation, and then that happened again the next year, and then so all of a sudden got two properties that I would have never done if I had made super.
Mad.
So there's definitely, exactly right, Lima. Like I wouldn't have had those houses, plus wouldn't have started RugbyBricks if I had got the super rugby gig. So who knows? And I guess that's probably a positive way to look at those sort of things. Is like, cool. What's the opportunity here?
Moving on to RugbyBricks, bro. How does that all come about, man? When you had the epiphany, man.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys had them, but Lima, you definitely would. But there's usually a dude from New Zealand Rugby comes around and talks to you about starting like something or investing or business.
Yeah.
Every year, same yarn, and all the boys are like, yeah, righto. Good on you. And then some idiot in the team starts like a sock company or something like that. But yeah, so that happened, came around, and then I was following a lot of basketball pages and like watching like just guys doing dribbling drills, how to do like a step back three. So I was following a lot of those pages, and I was like, man, there's nothing in rugby for like on this sort of stuff. Just giving like quick little cues, like scrolling through your feed, see something. Oh yeah, sweet, that's how to do that, and then carry on. And then sort of YouTubed a lot of clips, and they were just like 12-minute long, like boring ass.
Bro.
Dan Carter. Hi, I'm Dan Carter. Dan Carter, I love you, man. You're the man. Those clips were just too slow and just not consumable.
Bro, massive,
And then, like, if you think about it, I'm sure you guys follow them as well. Like, if you just watch like a minute of Steph Curry literally just doing a shooting drill, like no talking, nothing, you can just pick up a lot of stuff. So that's, I guess, where it all came from. Was like I just wanted to show people and show youngsters and people wanting to get better, like just the little details and the cues and the footworks and that side of things. Just because there was nothing being shown. And the hard part was New Zealanders are real humble. We don't probably like to, and definitely myself, like almost had to sort of create this RugbyBricks character. Like when I'm sort of on the mic or doing podcasts, it's kind of just this RugbyBricks guy. Like it's not so much Pete. It's kind of just this guy who has to like be loud, be like ask good questions, deliver good content, which probably didn't come that natural at the start. when you're just trying to be like the humble guy, which everyone is in New Zealand rugby type thing.
Yeah. Interesting, man. And like, obviously there's the massive shortage of content, and I found that I injured my ACL and I went into coaching as well, and trying to like come up with drills for like running lines or like passing under pressure or, that type of stuff it was just like, there was just nothing out there apart from those long clips. Was there any other like guidance from rugby people? Like, did you have to reach out to people to kind of shape it or anything, or did you just go solo and kick it off?
Yeah, probably just went solo and started, and just trial and error was the main thing. Like, even the first few clips, like when I go back, probably like a little bit long and tried to do too much and too fancy.
Yeah.
And I guess you kind of learn what works. There's actually a guy, Ben Heron. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's the Otago coach. He's like a real breakdown guru.
Yeah,
He's done some good stuff with the rugby site. And just delivering real detailed content just on one little thing, like one little skill, how to get a good jackal or how to approach a ruck and stuff like that. So had some good yarns with him. And it was probably just a reflection of good convos with like him and good coaches around how to deliver the message the best.
Yeah, man. No, solid, bro. And when does like RugbyBricks took off and it got a lot of traction? I remember you getting involved in the New Zealand media and all that kind of stuff, which was awesome to see. When did it start to look like could be like a monetizing opportunity?
Yeah, like definitely after I did that one good session with Nuggy down at F45, and like we spent like an hour and a half together, and that was the cool thing. Like, and he like gave me so much energy, and Lima, you'll know as well. Like, when that guy starts talking about his passing game, like he just goes hard. Like,
can't shut him up.
Shut him up. And I was just like, man, people need to hear how you're talking, how much you care. Like, you're not just on the field passing the rugby ball. Like, there's so much shit going on in your head, and so much decisions, and how much effort you've put into having this freaking pass. People need to know this message, and so that got a lot of traction. And then when you work with a guy who's kind of one of the best in the world at what he does, I guess people really notice as well. So I thank him a lot for kind of kicking it all off and giving it a bit more credibility with what I was trying to do.
Because before that, Pete, did you think, you know how you were just toiling away? Obviously, you would have started from 0 followers and then to build a following. And was there a point where you're just like, fuck, I don't know if this is going to work? Or were you just like, fuck it, I'll just keep going until the wheels fall off?
Yeah, like that's probably just to keep going. I remember I had like 1,000 followers or something, and I was saying to one of the Northland boys, I was like, man, apparently when you get to like 5,000, like all the shit starts coming your way. And I remember I'm at like 120 now, and I'm like, well, there's not that much free shit coming my way still. So no, like, yeah. I kind of always knew that there was an opportunity to monetize it with like passing programs and kicking tees and that side of things. So that's kind of where I've put the energy and stuff that I can control. And there was kind of, I was talking with Adidas and stuff before all this virus stuff hit. So hopefully we can pick that up again, that convo up afterwards.
Nice, man.
Nice, man. Because you recently signed with Lovell Rugby, is that right?
Yeah, so we teamed up with Lovell, and they're the exclusive distributor of the tees over in the UK. So I don't know if you've shipped stuff to the UK, but it kills you. And so like people were paying more for shipping than the actual tee itself. So like, man, how do we solve this issue? And so Lovell's teamed up with them, and it's been going really well on their site. It's cool. A lot of good.
Yeah, they're massive over here, man.
Yeah. And the best thing is I think they do a lot of player endorsement, so they give a lot of their players, I don't know if it's so much cash, but definitely a lot of gears, and hook them up with training gears and boots and whatnot. So they had contacts to a lot of kickers. So they've already sent out quite a few tees, sample tees, just to players to try and get them in the market.
It's mad how many of those tees you see around. I was even I played rugby in Kilkenny, which is like the small little country town in Ireland, and also Dublin, and both the kickers are kicking off the RB Vortex.
Wow, how good!
Yeah, bro, it's mad.
Does that give you? You've seen Quaid and a few other big names out there kicking with it. Does that still give you a buzz when you see that?
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
Like every time I see it, pretty stoked. Like it's just awesome to see people like enjoying it, using it. And the Quaid one was crack up. So like Quaid was like one of the first guys to jump on the Vortex, and I think it was like a Thursday. Rebels were playing the Reds, and it was the first time meeting him. Took the tees down. Hey, bro, like this is the tee. Like no pressure, literally just letting you have a kick off this. And he had a kick, and he was like 12 from 12, like just on the kicks that he had. And he's like, oh, I think I might use it this weekend. And like I almost fucking fell over because like he was like the first guy to use it in Super Rugby. And I was just like, mate, like, are you sure? Like, I don't want you to answer the game. And sure enough, like I was like waiting by the TV, waiting for his first kick to see what tee was going to come on. And yeah, sure enough, the old blue Vortex come on, and that was a pretty cool moment.
That's epic, man.
Can you are you able to watch anyone goal kick without critiquing their form, or can you separate the work?
Yeah, not really. Like I always, like look at their ball set up, what they're doing. Yeah, like I'm always critiquing.
Yeah, it's impossible now.
I hated watching kicks the first few times off the tee. But then my dad was like, I'm pretty sure Gilbert doesn't get nervous when people are kicking, so there's no reason for you to be.
Who's your favorite kicker to watch, Pete?
Mate, it sounds shit, but Hayden Parker, I just like.
Oh yeah,
well, he's
sweet. Yeah, he's pretty.
I still haven't come across someone who's just got such a nice, and just the way that it comes off his boot, like just so darty. It's like a golf drive. Like it just sort of holds its line and just stays where he puts it. Like you were all right back in when you cleaned up your technique. I'll give you some props for that.
There was some huge work ons there.
The old kicks from in front.
Bang off the post. You know who that is, bro? That's straight Tony Brown. That's it, bro. That's the guru. So whatever he says, man, is gold to me, bro. He's the one who cleaned it up, to be fair. He's the guy who really helped me out and really sort of being able to take my kicking sort of to the next level, you know. But before that, fucking hell, I was like a running.
You had a new run up every year, mate.
New run up, new style. I didn't know what was going on, man. But yeah,
nice, man. And there was the thing, Brownie kind of just organizes your thoughts, and that's what I try to do with my coaching is like and I guess like with Quaid as well, like even speaking with him, like there was a lot of stuff he had never thought about. He does that sort of unique step back, you know, how he kind of does one step and then turns, and I was like, I said to him, I was like, do you realize how inconsistent this is? Like you're going to end up at a different spot every time you get to the back of your run up. So like if that's inconsistent, how the hell are you going to be consistent? So stuff like that a coach can kind of pick up. That's the cool part. But I remember a session, Limo, me and I don't know who was kicking. We were down at Logan Park, and you turned up. It was when you were taking your goal kicking seriously, I think, and you rocked up with your balls. Did like a 25-minute warm up, and I was just like, who the hell is this guy? Like he's going pretty hundies, and yeah, man. I was like, oh, well, that's why he's at the top.
Yeah, bro. Before I was about to get dished out and have no contract. That's why. I took it serious.
Is there anything you see from like kind of young guys you coach or you give programs? I know you do that thing where guys send in their clips and then you do a bit of a critiquing of. Is there anything kind of you see trend wise where a lot of young kids do or don't do that you'd like that's a common thing you say to them? Yeah,
like I think definitely, as I was coming through, we were all influenced by like Dan Carter and Johnny Wilkinson and that real low kicking tee. So that kind of all, yuck. hard to kick off. And now everyone's kind of inspired by kickers all kicking off the high ones like the vortexes and the mid cut and what sort of like that Gilbert one. That are you still using that, Lima?
I don't know what it is. I've got these those sort of rubbery ones. Can't seem to shake them, bro. So sorry, man. Can't use your teeth. Can't shake it, man.
That's all good. And so we're kind of all inspired by kickers like this, like Owen Farrell and Bodie, whatever sort of he kicks off, everyone kicks off in New Zealand. But the main thing is everyone was like just gets so caught up on distance and just wanting to try and like we all do it. The same with shooting 3-pointers. All the kids just want to go shoot 3-pointers.
You want to be Steph Curry.
So I guess big, like fast, aggressive run-ups, like trying to come in and smoke the ball off a 10 pace run-up is probably the one thing you try to chill people out. It's like we've got to train your body to do the right thing and be slow and trust your timing. So I guess that's the main issue I see is guys like just rushing in and then that just puts everything out.
Francois Stein from halfway or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, do you see any like similarities? I know it's a different sport and different ball, but with American football, like NFL, their kickers and they get some pretty big distance on it. I know the kicking styles, but do you is that something you've looked in just from a curiosity?
So we've got a kicker for the Wallaroos, Laurie Kramer. So it's like the hurdle style kick. So they like come in, especially for their kickoffs, they make contact and then almost do like a hurdle as if they're jumping a hurdle with their kicking leg. Mm-hmm. So it looks out of control for us, but it's actually quite a controlled kick for them. So they do two styles, that style, and then the hop kick, which is like your usual Owen Farrell, Lima Sovawanga technique, where you just hop on your plant foot forward. But there's not too much crossover, just again because it's the ball on the ground and placed. It's a real low swing. But the detail is awesome. Like some of the kicking pages that the American football coaches have, like they're all just about reps and detail and getting it perfect and foot strikes. Yeah,
you see some of those guys, well, even the punters as well, they get some crazy, I guess that's why they take a lot of the Aussie rules boys over.
Yeah.
There's some of the kicking they get, or some of the distance and height.
Yeah, all about hang time and buying time, eh?
Yeah.
And what about moving into the coaching, bro? So like with Wallaroos and getting that and taking the knowledge that you've got from like Tony Brown and everything, and then you're working with Stephen Larkham at one point.
Yeah, so Stephen got cut from the Wallabies. Him and Chika weren't seeing eye to eye on a few things. And so he was out of a job, and so he got spread across Wallaroos, sevens, and 20s. And like he's a gun coach. I reckon he's probably going to be taking over the ship in Australia at some point pretty soon. Yeah. I know the Munster boys are really enjoying him. So yes, Stephen's good, man, and the success he had at Brumbies, like the boys all really love him, and he's got a real good way about him. But I suppose like with my coaching, I'm only starting out. Like I don't think I'm taking over the world or anything with team coaching. So for me, it's all about just learning how to get organised, probably off the field as well. Like team reviews, data, like what stats actually matter, and I guess what's going to be important to me with my coaching and what I try to look for in teams and players and everything. Like even dealing with shit people in team environments. Okay, well, how do we solve this issue in this person?
It's crazy the amount of like when you're in your playing days, you don't actually realize how much man management goes on behind the scenes with players and stuff. It's a lot, man.
And definitely with the women's game, I think you can pick a boy in a team and he's picked, like that's all that he needs, like he's in the room. Whereas I think a lot with the women, they really need to feel valued and contributing, and that's how they feel like they get the most out of themselves. I mean, it's definitely a generalization, but I think it's a pretty fair one. So making them all feel like they are contributing and importance a massive thing. Otherwise, you just lose them and the shit fight starts.
Yeah.
So, Pete, would you say, like, you're coaching at the moment, would you would you say that you're more sort of specializing in the skills part of rugby, or are you actually really involved in sort of the technical, tactical sort of game plan management of how your team's going to be played?
Yeah, so I'm the attack coach for Wallaroos, so do the full team attack, which is what I really love and can sort of see myself doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of making all the decisions around that, and it's a little bit different in the women's game with how to attack and where the opportunities are, and tactical kicking and stuff like that. So yeah, man, across the board and all of that, which has been cool, good to learn from, and that's where Bernie helped a lot as well, just with organising that and how do you present your team attack and get your coaching points across right from the start.
And what are your principles as an attack coach, bro? Because I know a lot of coaches, you kind of have, like I was working under Ruata Puke and he was just attack all the time. Like you just have an attacking mindset. Everything you do is attacking at pace, da-da-da-da. Like what's your vision or your mindset behind coaching? What do you try and instill in your players?
Yeah, so I suppose playing under the Brownie and seeing different attacks, like it's all very well being like full noise the whole time, but you kind of just can gas yourself if you don't do that smart. So definitely one big thing with the Wallaroos girls that was good to get across was kind of that exit mentality, and actually conserving energy and trying to get as many bodies on feet to get a good chase line and stuff like that. And then also getting and that's why I think like year 9 and 10 are so crucial, because they're the ones that are feeling the pace. And if you need to have sort of that slow phase to then generate your quick ball again, like is your rugby IQ good enough to do that? And probably why Lima and Nuggy went so well together was like, man, we're just brick walling here. Let's box kick or slow phase to fast phase, which is all rugby IQ. Which is the challenge for us, man, because not enough of these girls are watching rugby on the weekends and picking those things up. Yeah. So just trying to build that.
Where do you see the women's game, especially in the women's NRL? They that seems to be firing, and I know Rugby Australia's had its problems, and it's still kind of working through some of those.
Definitely, and I think the athletes are getting better, so that's becoming more attractive to spectators and stuff. As now you can go watch definitely a women's game of sevens. Like some of those girls, you watch the Blackfern Sevens, like that's an impressive game of rugby to watch. Michaela Blyde, Portia, like they're world class and like look world class as well. So I think as that develops, will be better. But also, like with coaching, the NRL, the best thing about the NRL over here is like it's all the old boys that have got like 15-year careers that are coaching. So like they're coming in and just giving these girls the best possible knowledge that they can get. And even like Corey Parker's running around running waters for the NRLW team on the field, barking and doing stuff like that. Like the development and the growth and the spectators all loving that. So I think even for the Farah Palmer Cup in New Zealand, like the more like ex-Super Rugby players and people that we can have involved, they don't have to be boys, but they have to be class with the value that they're giving the girls. And then all that stuff we're talking about, like athleticism, IQ is just going to go through the roof and give us a better spectator game. But we need some female kickers to step up because there's not many girls that can dominate a game with their boot yet.
Do you try and get them to I suppose that would affect your exit strategies, etc., like you're talking about, or like how does that work with the lack of distance in their punting? Not, again, it's a bit of a generalization, but like... Yeah.
So, like, and that was the thing, I tried to get the box kick game in over here, but like, it's just not a part of Australian rugby growing up. Just it's not coached. It's not how they play rugby here. So now all of a sudden you're passing the ball back sort of 10 metres to a girl that can only kick it freaking 30. You're not going to make much metres down the field. So that's been a real growth area for me, is sort of started a kicking academy over here with 5 girls from each state and just trying to lift the kicking game. And
that's awesome.
Get some distance on some kicks and teach some girls how to box kick, because you get a good wall up and kick the ball sort of 30 metres off a boxy, now all of a sudden you can actually get the team going forward.
Yeah, especially with a bit of height on it, and you got a good kick chase. Awesome, bro. And in terms of like attack in rugby, like there's so much on a rush defense, and like how the All Blacks came short of it at the World Cup. Like, what are your thoughts on beating a rush D, bro?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. Like I suppose like game line carries are massive, and so I reckon there's a few ways to do it. Like we've sort of started talking a lot about our two body involvement, so your latch player. And actually like beating that rush D, like if they're going to rush with one body, like let's try beat that with two and get over the game line that way. But like one rush D phase can stop your attack, but if you can put at least 2 or 3 game line phases against the defense, then that's going to stop the rush D. So I think your first phase and carries are so crucial. Like the rush D is all good and well, but I think it's actually going to bring back the ball player, the Benji Marshall, get him over playing union. Like if your first receiver can get lateral and get people doing funny things and turning in, and if you've got a square attack against a square rush D, then how are you even going to do it?
Yeah.
So get some steppers and people going sideways is a good way to stop that.
But Pete, just quickly, I know we'll probably wrap it up soon, but lastly, where do you see RugbyBricks, bro, in the next sort of 2 to 5 years? Where do you see that heading?
Yeah.
So at the moment we're kind of working on developing an app. Got the idea off a cricket page. So they do like modules that you can work through, like passing modules, and you can go on like watch a 90-second video just on how to catch the ball cleanly, and like slowly work your way through your module. So just having subscriptions for that. So just continuing to develop the passing programs and the kicking programs. I'd love to do to branch out and get into other areas and start bringing that stuff in as well. So break down and get some people in to coach that, especially like line out throwing or scrum. Have like a scrum week. You know how they do like Shark Week. Have a scrum week on RugbyBricks. Get some people along there and just go hard. But more of the same, and just keep going with it. And especially with the kicking tees, like they're starting to go really well now, and continue to grow that side of it, and keep pushing that way. So it's kind of just evolving as we go. And there's plenty of ways that you can go with it. But yeah.
Do all your tees cost the same price, or are they different depending on which one you get?
Yeah, all the exact same. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so the same. All made and designed in New Zealand, which is pretty massive for us and cool to be able to do, rather than sort of going out of like a China or anything, wanting to do it all at home. And out in Mosgiel, actually, there's a molding company. Yeah, that do it for us. JT Plastics. Amazing process. Pretty cool.
I've come a long way since that brush tee, mate. I seen you talk about that the other day.
Yeah, that was the first project. Would have been cool if it had worked, but it didn't.
Bro, it would have been sick.
What? Sorry, can you go over what was the idea on that one?
Yeah, so it was like there's golf tees that are like a mold, and then it's got like bristles coming out of it.
Okay,
If you Google the golf brush tee, there's heaps of them. But yeah, sort of had the idea to do that with the rugby ball, because it'd just be such a clean strike, like you wouldn't even feel anything under it. But yeah, it didn't work.
It's funny, man. Check it on Instagram, and Pete's trying to like lay the ball on it. It just goes like zhunk.
Oh, it doesn't sit right. Yeah. Here's like, we love code, but probably the stuff we talk about 80% of the time is basketball. Yeah. I think you still are a bit of a basketball fan. What's your team? If you have team?
Yeah, so I was always Kobe, so always Lakers, man. And
nice.
Then just
let's go.
Fluked it with LeBron coming as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, always been Lakers, man. Probably Magic as well. Showtime, the way he used to play. Yeah.
So we went on a trip to LA earlier this year, LA Toronto.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah. So then as we were on the plane, Lima's got Wi-Fi on his phone, and he's like, Kobe's died. And we're like, what? Like, no way. Like, this thing, he's talking shit, and then few hours later, we arrive in LA, and then just the whole city's just in mourning. Like, it's all over the radio. All the Uber driver knows about it. It's on TV 24/7. And then we were there to go watch LeBron.
That's the only reason we're
The
in
only
LA.
reason we went to
The
LA,
only
like,
reason.
yeah, to watch LeBron.
Against
It was
the Clippers.
Clippers,
Against the
Lakers
Clippers.
at the Staples, and then that gets cancelled. Like, it was cool to be there, like, because the city, murals were coming up every day.
Yeah.
And then at Staples, I was like grown men like fully crying, like as if someone of their own
Yeah,
family had
it's pretty
died.
crazy to see what Kobe meant to the community and everything. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that the Mamba Academy that he started up with his girls team and whatnot, just like the stuff, the positive stuff he was doing was incredible. But I remember that because Lima, you mentioned that on our podcast, and then someone mentioned it to me. Is like, whatever happened there? Crazy, you guys were there, turned up.
yeah.
Yeah, we were like buzzing out, thinking, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the game on Tuesday. It's gonna
And it'll be
the
like
memorial,
the memorial game. Yeah,
you know, blah blah
the
blah."
biggest game in
blah.
Lakers history. Like,
Yeah.
And then
Cancelled.
cancelled, and then we're like,
So what'd you do? Just had a few days and then
just
yeah,
went out to dinner, got wasted as well. Really.
we went to Toronto afterwards, so we had to catch up with friends. But yeah, LA was just pretty much
You just end up being but just a tourist trip. Yeah, here's a because we do this, like hypothetical. So if you, let's say rugby had a draft system, who are your top 5? So players currently now, but they'll be in their peak form. So top 5 picks be. Who do you think would coming out of the draft?
yeah, right. I'd definitely take Carter, just because he's the man. Can they be on any position?
Yeah. You don't have to pick 10s.
Yeah.
he's loyal to his posse.
Yeah, man. I like that. He's saying Dan Carter now because he's mocking him before.
Yeah.
I'll take Nuggy. Obviously, I still reckon he's one of the best 9s getting around. I'm not just saying that. Christian Cullen, I reckon.
Ooh,
The way
good.
he used to play. Yeah, they're all backs. Holy shit! I need to pick a forward. I was a big Scott Robinson fan growing up.
Wow, Razor Robinson.
What a
That's a
throwback.
left field call. Well, I like it.
Yeah. The way he used to play, probably not out of his form, but just because I like him. I'd pick Razor, just because he was mad.
Before you got one more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick a front rower actually, Carl Heyman.
Oh no.
Oh, Carl, that's a
Oh.
shout. That's actually a shout.
Because
Is that because he can sink piss or?
we need good ball. That's why.
On and off the field.
That's a shocking 5, but yeah, those are my 5.
Yeah. No, yeah, purely New Zealanders. I like that.
Yeah.
No internationals get a look. No.
Nah, loyal.
Yeah, I like that.
Where can people find you, Pete? Just for the listeners out there.
Yeah, man. So we've got RugbyBricks on Instagram, and then YouTube channel is really good as well. If you just search, it's got a lot of people don't know that, but a lot of the long form stuff and the full session stuff is all on YouTube. And then also we've got our RugbyBricks podcast. Again, just search the RugbyBricks podcast. Good one with Lima on there about playing 10, and it's class. It's good.
Yeah, that one's really good. Awesome,
Thanks
Pete, mate.
Thanks for your time, Pete.
Cheers, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys.
Oh, thanks,
Really
brother.
appreciate it.
Yeah.